Okay, so chapters 1, 2, and 3 in Teaching with the Conscience. Chapter 1 talks all about basically dreaming and what we imagine for our schools and what we're actually getting from them. I know as a teacher, me personally, if I were to sit back and imagine what I would want in a classroom, what's actually being done today is alarming to me, especially being a co-teacher and teaching in a lot of gen ed classes and seeing what these teachers are teaching to the students with IEPs and how they are teaching. It's pretty scary, and I know I would imagine just a world where students are challenged, but they're working together. They're able to talk. They're able to coexist. The teacher and student relationship would be a heck of a lot better than what I see in a day. And I would imagine a school system that really focuses on the student and teacher relationship, student student relationship, and not just what standards need to be covered and what students will be able to do by the end of the lesson. I just don't think that's important in life. What standard they're going to learn and memorize by the end of the day. I think what's important and what needs to be done is a focus on these relationships that are occurring and how we can make them better. This chapter focuses on how teachers themselves need to kind of go against the grain. They need to go against what is normal, what they've known, what they've seen growing up in the education system, what they've learned in their teacher ed programs, and just turn all this into a more progressive teaching movement. If we imagine a perfect teaching system, what does it look like? And I guarantee it doesn't look like what's going on in our classrooms today. Does that mean we're not doing bits and pieces of what we'd expect in the future and what we want to get towards? Absolutely not. Of course, we're doing good things so far. There's a lot of bad things going on in our schools, and we need to fix that. And as young educators, I believe it's our full responsibility. The second chapter kind of talks about, I would say, like the top 1% and the kind of schools that their kids are going to, and talks about everybody else. So the top 1%, your president's kids, your top legislators' kids, your lawyers, stuff like that, their kids are going to schools with smaller class sizes. These schools have the most amazing resources and the best technology. These schools also have a huge focus on sports and visual arts, and you've got happier, better performing students. And the reason is because they're able to work collaboratively and they have the setting that works best for students, which is smaller. More attention is paid on them, and there's more student-led learning. Today in our schools, we've got this 40 to 1, 35 to 1 ratio where the teacher can't focus on anybody in the classroom. And then you've got classroom management issues. You've got teachers who don't want to mold, change, evolve. They just are doing what they were doing 30 years ago, and that's hurting our students of today because students don't learn the same, and they won't learn the same tomorrow. So if we don't change every day and improve on our teaching and learn about our practice, then we are failing our students. I've said that many times. But this chapter is alarming because it talks about all these standardized tests that we expect of our students, and we all know that this is not the way to teach students. This is not the way to evaluate our teachers, and this is not the way that our school systems should be going. We should not focus on getting A, B, or C, or D correct. We need to focus on student relationships, teacher relationships, and learning from one another, working collaboratively. And once we can get our schools to focus on that, I feel like they're going to do a lot better. Students are going to improve, and more kids are going to want to go to school rather than being forced to go into the classroom and sit there and learn about something they don't care about. Final chapter just talks about what we would expect of our own children and what we'd expect of our students in the classroom and what we're actually doing. It's alarming if we actually sit down and see what's going on in our schools. Not saying there's not good things, but a lot of us are forced to focus on standards and a class that is very teacher-centered. And we know, through this class and through the books that we've read that student-centered is the way to go. Student-centered is the future. We need to get away from that 1800 style classroom and go more towards a student-led class where students are learning from one another, because the value of that is not measurable. And finally, I wanted to end with this. I teach at a school where I think a lot of things are going wrong. But that's not to say that there are many good teachers there. I just think it's the system. that we're in. And the willingness to try new things from teachers, I think, is lacking. But I want to say this. What I've heard over and over at my school is that I'm an adult, they're a kid, they're a student. They need to listen to me, and they need to listen to what I have to say, and they need to respect me. I've got a problem with that, and that's the fact that I think a lot of these teachers are forgetting that, yes, you may be older than them, and yes, quote unquote, you may be smarter than them, but we're forgetting one valuable lesson. They're human beings, and you're human beings. So once we remember that we're all on the same level here and we should be working together, I think then you would create a successful education system. Right now we've got too many people teaching over students, above students, rather than teaching and learning with them.